Is up, YouTube? It is me, Basejalarin, and I'm here again with another video. And today's video, it's not a manga haul, it's not a sketchbook video, it's not a manga tag, because we're almost near the end of the year. It's almost the end of November, we're almost into December, and I figured, since we are so close to the end of the year, I would do my great 2017 UN-HAUL! And what would be a 2017 UN-HAUL, you ask? Well, that would be all the manga that I've decided to get the fuck rid of this year. And I don't have a lot, but I do have enough to make a video, warrant a video. So, why don't we just get started with the first and an honorable mention, because I might have gotten rid of it out of my official collection that is on display here, but I'm more moving it into storage than I am actually just straight up just getting rid of it. And that would be Hayate the Combat Butler, and I own volumes 1 through 13. I mean, it's an okay manga. It was like one of the first manga I ever collected consecutively, but I've kind of fallen way behind. It's in the 30s now, and I just haven't had the time or the money or the patience to collect it. But I still have, faith that maybe one day I will get back into it. So this is something I've taken out of my collection, but it's not something I'm going to be getting rid of officially yet. Next up, we have My Neighbor Seki, Volumes 1 and 2. If you saw my first manga collection video, you would have heard me talk much shit about this manga. How I didn't think it was funny, it didn't really scratch my humor itch, if you would. It didn't really appeal to me, and the only reason I had them around was because my husband recommended that I buy them because he liked the series. Then he had a falling out with it, and I really didn't have any reason to keep it around because it wasn't really appealing to me. So yeah, I'm getting rid of these two. Next, we have Red Riding Hood and the Big Sad Wolf, which was just okay. It didn't really catch my interest in any way. It's just kinda meh. It definitely would appeal to some people. I can definitely feel this would appeal to a more younger demographic, people in high school or middle school. Not to say that I don't have manga that would appeal to high school or middle schoolers, but this just seems to attract a crowd that I'm not a part of, and I don't really see any reason to continue collecting it. Next, along the same, wavelength of it was just okay, it just didn't really appeal to me, that would be, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Volumes 1 and 2. I don't really know. It just wasn't really my thing. I couldn't really... It was just okay. I really deeply considered keeping it because it's a really interesting concept because, it's just a transported to another world story, except the person becomes a slime. How fucking cool is that? But it just, it was just okay. I thought about, will I be okay with, continuing to pick up the series and spend money on it month after month, and I thought, nah. So, yeah, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Volumes 1 and 2, being booted out. Next, we have Waiting for Spring, Volumes 1 and 2. You sense in a theme, it's because they're series I started to collect and then I was all eh. And this one, I knew I started collecting this one as a part of, my maybe I should read more shoujo campaign. But it wasn't really gripping. It was just kind of a shoujo series, and that was it. There's other shoujo series that I actively collect, like Anonymous Noise, and it's got a neat, band premise. I like those band premises where people do music and shit. And you know how I feel about, Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight, and they got the cool fucking, hair art style that I am absolutely in love with. This was just, This was just a shoujo story, and just thinking of how many dudes are in this story and how like they're all like personally just related to the main character, not like actually related, but like personally related to the main character, just gives me a headache of like the romance dodecahedron that'll eventually like bloom, and it just doesn't seem like my thing. Nah. Next, I am unhauling Don't Meddle with My Daughter, which surprisingly is the only like heavily sexually graphic thing I'm unhauling this year, which means that I'm not unhauling it because it's extremely sexually graphic. I mean, I'm really interested in, Seven Seas just made a new imprint called Ghost Ship, and it's where they're going to start publishing more adult-themed manga, which is pretty cool, and I got my eye on a couple of titles there, but the reason I'm unhauling this and not something like How to Build a Dungeon is because you ever like I watch hentai. Let's not kid ourselves. I watch some hentai, right? And whenever there's like a mom character and there's like heavy emphasis on the fact that she's a mom, it just, she got like the hentai mom look to her. Like you look at that and it's like, yeah, that's a hentai mom. Just I don't like hentai moms. It just, every single time she was like in panel and she was getting like sexually assaulted, it just made me feel kind of it did the exact opposite of what it was supposed to do. So I'm gonna drop this like a hot potato before the hentai mom continues to haunt my very existence. Alright, next up we have the entire series of Is This a Zombie?, which I've kept around for a really long time. I justified it because it was the whole series. And I was like, I bothered to fucking collect the whole thing. I wasted all this money on it. I might as well keep it around. But I keep around a lot of shit that I do not like. Like, I collect NTR Netsuzo Trap, which I have voiced time and again that I feel very uncomfortable with, because it's a manga about cheating, and that's just no good. And I also got Monster Hunter Orage, which I have said time and again that I don't like because it doesn't feel like a Monster Hunter series. It just feels like an action-adventure series, and it's too cartoony and weird for me. But there's just aspects of those manga that appeal to me in some form or fashion, despite the fact that I don't like them as the whole. Like, NTR Netsuzo Trap is a Yuri, and I'm an obsessive Yuri fangirl, and I have to collect it just solely on principle. And Monster Hunter Orage, despite the fact that it doesn't really feel like a Monster Hunter series, it is on paper a Monster Hunter series. And if I want to see more Monster Hunter content, I'm going to have to buy and keep that Monster Hunter content. So that's why I have those. But this has no reason for being in my collection. The fan service factor is really low. It's not a fan service powerhouse like How to Build a Dungeon or anything else with like high titty factor. It's just a light novel series about a dude who lives with 3 girls and they all like fucking hate him. I just read this and the entire time I just let out this long, exaggerated, exhausted sigh. Because that's all you can do, because it's just one of those very stereotypical light novel series, and I want to keep that out of my collection as much as I can. So, as much as I hate to get rid of a series that I spent so much time collecting to the point of completion, I will not be keeping this in my collection for I'm keeping it way the fuck out. So, yeah. And speaking of light novel series, the final thing that I am unhauling this year is Clockwork Planet Volumes 1 and 2. Now, when I first got Clockwork Planet, I had some positive things to say about it. I said the art style seemed alright and stuff, but it didn't really hook me. It didn't, I bought Volume 2, and I was like, I'm going to continue collecting this, but then I read Volume 2, and it just didn't really get me. it was just so-so. Maybe I just was steeped too much in that light novel-y goodness that it just ugh. And I just couldn't really see myself continuing to throw money at this series, because I think Kodansha is putting these out, like, really fucking fast, like, on a almost monthly basis, I think, so. And I just don't feel like I have the will to spend money consistently on this series. It's just meh. Just a whole lot of meh. Yeah, that is my entire unhaul for the year of 2017. And that'll be all for this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.